Well, with the Brexit deadlock ongoing, there's growing concerns that other issues aren't getting the attention that they deserve. And it's certainly something that I felt when I travelled to Birmingham earlier this week to sit down with one of the country's most outspoken MPs. To the southeast of the city is the constituency of Birmingham Yardley. Multicultural, urban, 35% of children here are classed as living in poverty. In the Brexit referendum, every one of the seat's 4 wards voted to leave the EU.
Just don't like being dictated to by Europe. So I mean, like, they make all the rules and things, yeah? We're having to follow.
A lot of the MPs, their constituents actually voted to come out, and they're voting to stay in. So who do they represent themselves or their people, you know?
There are a lot more issues going on right now, and it sounds like everything's kind of been put on hold because of Brexit.
You don't stab it if there's a few more police on the beat with that. I mean, years ago there was always police walking about, but you can hardly see one there. Even if you have to phone them, it 6 hours for them to come. So I think we should concentrate on that a bit more and get the country right first before you think about Brexit.
The message on this high street was that people want politicians to get on with Brexit. Now, there are no surprises there. We hear that message a lot, but what struck me was that people were saying it not because they're bored of Brexit, but because they're worried that because of Brexit, other important issues are being ignored. The Member of Parliament is Labour's Jess Phillips, who backs a second referendum. We arrived at her office prepared to do an interview on the intricacies of Brexit. But after spending a few hours here...
How are you, my love? You look quite well. Oh no, don't say that.
Listening to complex constituency cases...
There's a chance, but I'm not going to promise you anything because I don't want to be another person who's let you down.
On everything from housing to prisons to immigration, it felt right to start in a different place.
The entire bandwidth of everything that happens in my constituents' lives has been entirely taken away, and there are real stories, real lives, real problems in our country that should be front page news in ordinary times and are now just being completely forgotten.
I mean, what kind of thing are you talking about?
So, I mean, as you've seen while you've been here this morning, we've got really, really difficult and complicated immigration cases, not dissimilar to Windrush, where my constituents are not able to, their children are not able to get educated because of failings in the Home Office. We've got issues, really serious housing issues, where in my constituency at any one time there are 30, 40 families living in one room, with no access to cooking facilities, sometimes not even washing facilities. For years, people are living like this for years, and our local schools all around us are having to shorten their hours, lessen their number of teachers. We are at breaking point here, and I don't feel like Theresa May understands that, and she stands in front of me at the dispatch box and tells me I'm letting the people down. She wants to come and sit here for her inheriting.
And I guess what Theresa May might say is that she's the one who's trying to get on with it, and that it's MPs who are stopping her from moving on.
Except that that's just simply not true, in that she's trying to get on with it. She's trying to get on with what she deems the best option. She deems that from a point of view of no experience of what it's like to live around here, for example. And she doesn't understand that a really bad deal for the economy in her constituency, in Windsor, probably won't affect people that badly. But people where I live are living on the edge, and anything that pushes them, even a fraction, will push them over the edge. Most people here, the biggest employer is either the NHS or Jaguar Land Rover, the car industry. Both are threatened by a bad Brexit deal.
It's been quite an eye-opener, actually, for me, spending the morning in your constituency office, just seeing the number of people coming through the door, the kind of thing that they're talking about, the challenges that they face in their daily lives. You seem really quite angry.
When I come here, at the end of every day, I am exhausted with vicarious trauma for the lives of my constituents. I mean, obviously, it's not all bad, but the people I see are the people in crisis, and I see them all day, every day. I am so angry that their lives matter so little.
In your constituency, all 4 wards voted to leave the EU, and you support a second referendum.
Nobody who voted leave here has a massive go at me. I mean, you get the odd one who'll send you angry.
Don't they want you to respect their vote, though? And to carry it out?
But if they do, that's not what they're saying to me. They trust me to try and do the best thing for them. Not all of them, but no constituency is full of people who universally support the Member of Parliament. I mean, my constituents don't all think the same thing. They didn't all vote Leave because they hate immigrants. They didn't all, I mean, lots of them are immigrants. They didn't all vote Leave because they wanted to take back control. They didn't all vote Leave because they hated the customs union. They all have different reasons. The vast majority of people voted Leave because they wanted to show the system that they weren't happy. And who can blame them? Who can blame them? But look, my constituents are, lots of them may well disagree with my position, the position that I have come to. I didn't get there easily, but the position I've come to is that Parliament can no longer deal with this. And they may well disagree with me, and that is democracy. And if they disagree with me, they don't have to vote for me. And I may lose my job, but frankly, their jobs are more important.
At the minute, Jeremy Corbyn and Theresa May are having talks. They're trying to thrash out some kind of compromise. Would you like to see a situation where they come to a deal, or would you see that as the Labour Party facilitating a Conservative Brexit?
No, I mean, I think it is all far too little too late, and they should have been talking a long time ago. And actually, I blame Theresa May entirely for that. But
so you hope they come to a deal?
I hope that they come to a deal, but the deal that I feel they have to come to, whatever machination it is of what the actual deal with the European Union could be negotiated, is that I think it has to go back to the people. That's the red line for me, I'm afraid to say, and Theresa May gets to have red lines, so I'll have a few.
So even if, for example, Theresa May shifted her position all the way to say that she's happy to sign up to a permanent customs union, that wouldn't be enough for you? You'd say that would have to go to a public vote?
No, yeah, I mean, that wouldn't be enough for me.
Do you think there's much of a frustration towards Labour for not having a clearer position?
Yes.
For playing politics?
Totally. I think that there is frustration for Labour. I can't say that the sort of minutiae over the customs union is a massive concern to my constituents. If I was, you know, they speak of little else but the customs union in Birmingham Yardley.
Is there a feeling that Labour's playing politics?
I think that there is a bit of a feeling of that. I think that certainly within the Labour Party membership and the broader country, that I think that it hasn't been clear actually from the beginning, and I think that actually that position was understandable to a point, because we do have the most Leave and the most Remain constituencies. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Jeremy Corbyn was put in a really easy position and he just botched it, but I think that there was a point where the sort of fudge and the different briefing, whether it's Barry Gardiner comes out and says one thing, Keir Starmer comes out and says another, I think
it's been quite confusing for journalists at times.
It's been quite confusing for members of Parliament, members of the Labour Party and members of the public. So I think that at a point, what you need to do is show some real leadership and say, look, I know not everybody's going to agree with this, but this is our position. Because at the moment, we're sort of irritating everyone and pleasing no one, triangulating. When done well, I suppose, gives a little bit of something to everyone. At the moment, all we're giving to everybody is a bit of annoyance.
In an interview with The Times, a famous interview, you said that you felt exhausted, that you felt that you were at the end of the road for all of it. I mean, is that how you still feel?
I mean, unfortunately, when I was interviewed for The Times was literally the moment after I had shouted at Theresa May because there were people in my constituency being moved out of the hotel rooms that they were having to live in because Crufts was coming, and the dog show. So dogs literally trumped my homeless constituents in those weeks. I'm faced with something like that. I was I remain so angry at the complete lack of political will to try and help people's actual lives and to recognise why we've ended up in this situation. And I suppose when I say I was at the end of the line, I feel constantly like we are failing the political class. Now, I really believe in Parliament, I really believe in the Labour Party, I really believe in all of that, but my faith is being challenged because I feel like the political class is looking after itself a little bit sometimes at the moment. I'm sick of that being the thing when there's people in my constituency who are homeless and being replaced by miniature schnauzers.
Some people took that about you saying about being at the end of the road as
being the end of the road for the Labour Party. Yeah,
is that right? Or
I mean, I think actually in the week since I did that interview, I have a reignited flame for the Labour Party.
Why is that? Why?
That has come about because we are very much in Parliament at the moment. We are a united unit with a common purpose, and it's not factional. It's not left right who loves
you're
Jeremy
pretty split
the
over
most.
Brexit, to be honest.
We are pretty split over Brexit, but within those different factions that have always existed, there's crossover. So at the moment you've got me and Clive Lewis working together hand in hand to try and achieve something that we think is best for the country, and actually there is a sort of purpose. And I think that if people like me leave the Labour Party, which, you know, I have to say it's not always easy when, I mean, I've got people from the Labour Party who are currently under police investigation for threatening to kill me.
Why do you think you've become such a lightning rod for this kind of abuse?
Because I say what I think, and because I can't be controlled, and like anyone who wants to control you. So there's a lot of, in politics there is a lot of people who want to control you and make you say certain things, whether that's your party, whether that's your local membership. And I have to say I don't have a problem in my local membership. They are lovely, kind people and reasonable, and we have reasonable conversations. But if you can't control what a person says with the normal mechanisms of like, well, we'll get rid of you, the threats, even the nice approach, if you can't make them say exactly what you want, and they want me to say that basically Jeremy Corbyn is the best thing since sliced bread, if they can't make you, like in any power and control model, violence is the way to control an uncontrollable person. And so that's why I became a lightning rod, because I say what I think. And also I'm a woman, that doesn't help. That's never. Also I think that they consider that I am, that they have to intimidate me and try and make the things that I say not credible. They're constantly trying to, there's a propaganda war that goes on that tries to take the credibility of your voice away. It's because they're worried that people listen to me.
You said there about being a woman. You've also said that Marxism has always had a problem with women because class is everything. Yeah. Do you think that comes into it a bit as well?
That definitely
There's a blind spot, maybe.
There is a problem where the left has always been actually the sort of beacon of hope for women's rights. There is a section of the left that thinks that basically class is everything, and sometimes there is this sort of like, we are there to be helped rather than to be agents of our own change. But I mean, I'm happy to say that that is rare, but it's still definitely there, that sort of purist Marxist view that rich or poor is all that matters.
Yeah. So would you like the next leader to be a woman?
Yes, of course. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a massive embarrassment, amongst other things, if the Labour Party once again fails to have a woman leader.
Some people would like you to stand.
I recognise that some people would like me to stand, and you never know, maybe one day. At the moment, I feel so tired, I can't think of a job I'd least like to have than to be the leader of the Labour Party. It doesn't look like much fun at the moment.
Jeremy Corbyn and Theresa May seem quite stressed.
Yeah, they do both seem to have aged quite a lot over the period. Yeah, they do seem quite stressed. I imagine, actually I can't imagine what it's like when they're chatting with each other, but I imagine they probably could get on quite well. Really, they've got a lot of shared stress. They could like give each other a bit of a therapy session. Do
you think that's what's going on in Downing Street?
Yeah, really. They're like, oh God, I haven't slept for weeks, Theresa. And she's like, oh, I've missed all of the recent episodes of Fleabag. I really need to catch up.
Jess Phillips, thank you very much.
No worries.